All right, everybody, another YouTube video for you today. We're going to talk about the 8 different types of insurance that I feel like you probably need. And these are the most important ones. They're not the only ones, and obviously you can buy other products depending on your risk. And we might touch on some of them here in this video. But before I go any further, 4 simple things I want you to do if you're getting value out of my content. Number 1, like this video, it doesn't cost you anything. 2, subscribe to the channel. Another freebie. 3, share it with your friends. It might require a little bit of work. You just got to go and talk to your friends about it. And then lastly, get the bell, which again is a freebie, to get alerted when I release new content. So let's talk about the 8 types of insurance. My opinion of what I think you need. I'm not going to go into the specifics. I do want to have at some point some videos where I talk about specifics in terms of what kind of insurance I would recommend, all of that stuff. But I want to focus on the basics here. And so what I want to start with is life insurance. Now, life insurance is very important. Why? Because life insurance insures your life. Now you're thinking, well, I can't get it until I die because that's the whole point of life insurance. But what it does is it provides for your family. And please, 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 please get life insurance. Please do it. If you do not have it, get it. I know Dave Ramsey says roughly about 10 times your income. I probably try to get a little bit more. That's me. But think about this. If you die, now your wife, husband, whatever, has to work. They may be, you may have 2 or 3 kids, 4 kids, whatever. You might have a bunch of kids. And now that, let's say the other spouse stayed at home. Well, now the breadwinner's not bringing home anything because they've passed on. So now what happens? Now money can be tight. And you could have had a good economic situation, a good financial situation turn south in a hurry. So I think the biggest blessing that you can leave your family is to get good life insurance to help protect against that. So, how nice would it be that if you died, that you would know that your family is taken care of. Like, if you're on your deathbed, your family is taken care of. They are provided for. They will have money. It will be okay. And that's got to put you at ease. Please, please, please get life insurance. And the younger, the better, because it's generally going to be less expensive. And it's also when you're going to need it the most and you're the healthiest. A lot of times, like some insurance, depends how you buy it, will require some health underwriting. And if, unfortunately, you're not healthy, that could hurt you. So just be aware of that. And so that's the main one. Second one, long-term, and this I should say, long-term mainly. Long-term disability. Now, I'm going to start checking these off as I go through them. What is long-term disability? That ensures your income should you not be able to work for an extended period of time. So think about this. What happens if you get cancer and you can't work for like 6 months, a year, 2 years? How's your family going to live without income? This is where long-term disability insurance. Things happen. We're more likely to get disabled than we are to die. And the truth is, sometimes even small disabilities could prevent you from doing your job. And at that point, this is where the benefits of long-term disability come in. So don't sleep on that because it is another very important insurance to get. And a lot of times, your employer will provide it, but you can also buy a policy on your own. Now, the policy on your own is probably going to be a little bit more in the way of premium, but it's worthwhile to get. And the things that you want to look for in that is like you want it to make sure that it'll pay you out generally, I don't know, we'll say 40 to 70% of your salary, with the idea being that like when you're working, like you have some costs associated with work, stuff like that, taxes, what have you, that you wouldn't obviously have to pay if you were disabled. So they're never going to pay you 100%. So just give that up. Obviously, if they did that, then there might be a reason to become disabled so that you wouldn't have to work. So we don't want to do that. So again, long-term disability is another key insurance to get. Next is health insurance. And I think this goes without saying. You could have a heart attack, you could get cancer, you could get any of the other health maladies that we have, and you want to make sure that you're covered from a surprise hospital bill. Now, like I just had one of my sons broke his arm. You don't really need to be insured against that. Yeah, it might cost you $1,000 or $2,000 out of pocket, and that wasn't what you were expecting. Hopefully you have an emergency fund to protect against that. But if you don't, well, you need to have an emergency fund. Let's go without saying. If you don't have it, go build one up. But health insurance is meant to me to avoid the big hospital stays, like where you could rack up $1 million in medical bills. And you want to make sure, obviously, you read your insurance coverage with any of these to make sure that it's adequately covering you and what you think it should pay out. So health insurance is another crucial one. Auto insurance. Most states you have to have it by law, but again, if your car is wrecked, if someone runs into you, if they don't have insurance, all of these different things, you want to make sure that you can have money to replace your cars. Cars are expensive now. I want to say, what's the average new car price as of August 2022? Like $40-some thousand. It's crazy. So imagine that. If you are having to, you bought this car and it gets totaled and you don't have collision coverage, which is what you're like with auto, you're going to have collision, gap, and then liability. Let's talk about those real quick. So collision is what protects your car. So if your car is damaged, wrecked, or anything, like, it's paying to fix your car and make it look like as if it hadn't been in an accident. Gap is if you have car payments, and let's say, a lot of times we know that cars depreciate, they could be worth less than what you owe on it. Gap insurance makes you whole in that regard. So you might have that if you have monthly payments and you have negative equity in the car. In other words, the car is worth less than what you owe on it. Gap insurance will help with that. And then liability obviously protects you from other people. So in other words, if you damage somebody else's car, your liability insurance will kick in to fix their car if it was your fault. So those are the three main ones there. But yes, you want auto insurance. Homeowners insurance, again, protects your house. What happens if you get a hailstorm? Damages your roof. What happens if you're renting and there's a fire? All of these different things that can happen to your house. It will pay to either replace your possession. It'll pay to replace your possessions, rebuild your house, all of that. So yes, you want homeowners insurance. Long-term care. I know this one's gotten a lot more expensive lately, and it's just because I think insurance companies mispriced the policies for a long time. But nursing homes, if you have to go to one, can totally wreck your savings in a hurry, because a lot of times it could cost nearly 6 figures to be in a nursing home. Depends on where you're at and the level of care you need. But again, this is one, maybe you don't need to get until you're a little bit older, but it is something to consider, because if you don't have tons and tons of money to self-insure, you're going to want something that at least help offset that cost. Next one is ID theft. What happens if you get your identity stolen? How are you going to repair it? What happens if it costs you money? You can find ID theft. I know Dave Ramsey has one through Xander Insurance, and I know there's other ones. I'm not going to sit here and critique LifeLock and all of that, but you have ones that I would do a review. Do a review on them and look at them for yourself and see which one's right for you. But at least have some kind of protection there. ID theft insurance, I think I pay for what the one that Dave recommends, like $140 for the family. It's not terribly expensive at all. It's relatively affordable, so might be worth getting. And then the last one, and I want to talk about this one a little bit because I think people don't really understand what it is umbrella insurance. And what umbrella insurance is it's extra liability insurance. And I'm going to delete. I'm going to erase all of these, because we're going to talk about umbrella insurance. I want to talk about umbrella insurance here. So when you have, and let's talk about it in the context of your car. And yes, this is the crappiest car known to man. I did not go to school for art, and I've said this before. So here's your car. And let's say so when you buy auto insurance, you're going to have limits. And let's say your limit on liability is $300K. It's probably a typical amount if you want decent health insurance. What this means is if that person that you hit, they're injured, whatever it is, your insurance company will only cover $300,000. What does this mean, though, to you? Is what happens, let's say you hit, let me write this up here because I don't want it to block the illustration. So let's say you hit and okay, so let's say you hit somebody and they sue you for $1 million and they win. What is your insurance company going to do? They'll pay $300,000 out of it. The rest of it, you're going to have to pay. And if you don't have that money up front, they could garnish your wages. They can do whatever. They can get a judgment on you for that, but they could do that. So what we want to do is basically, in that example, is you buy an umbrella policy. Now, an umbrella policy, let's draw a little fancy umbrella. We'll draw a little green umbrella. Increases these limits. And you can buy them 1 million, probably all the way up to 10 million plus liability limits. So what this does is it's deductible is $300,000. In other words, it doesn't kick in until you pass that. But after you pass that, now you have like $1 million of coverage. So it covers you. That's what it's meant to do. It's meant to cover you excess liability should you need it. And here's the thing. Here's my thoughts on it. I think once you get any kind of sizable net worth, it's probably worth getting an umbrella policy. They're dirt cheap. They might cost you $100, $200, I don't know, we'll say a couple $100 to a few $100 a year, for $1 million policy, as of 2022. Who knows where it'll be down the line. But it helps protect you from situations like this. And that's what you want. And a lot of times, too, when you buy it, the insurance company can use their attorneys to help defend you in a lawsuit. So it depends on the policy, obviously, but that might be one of the benefits that you get with this kind of policy, because the insurance company doesn't want to pay it out, so they're going to do everything they can to kind of settle and lower the amount. But if you have any kind of savings, you would want to get umbrella policy. That's definitely what I recommend. A lot of people say get it up to your net worth. I don't know. I think you just do it with the comfort level. Like if you're really worried about getting sued, then get more. And but that's essentially like what the umbrella does. Is it goes above and beyond your policy. It's like if your policy doesn't cover everything, the umbrella will take over and protect you. But that is what you want with an umbrella policy. So hopefully this helps. If you have any other questions, be sure to drop me a comment on YouTube. You can always follow me on Instagram or Twitter at mdeepcpa on Instagram and mdeep_CPA on Twitter. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this content, and I hope you guys will all have a fantastic day.